This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Today, New York City head back to the Bronx for the home opener against Orlando City. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
And here we are kicking off the MLS schedule, match day 3, first of 12 games in the league today, at New York City FC's home opener against Orlando City. Welcome, everybody. I'm Glenn Crooks along with Matty Lawrence. We are your hometown English radio commentary team. That is a mouthful. But we will continue to advertise in that manner. We do every game live commentary on the New York City FC radio network. That will be coming up today starting at 2:15 p.m. Eastern with the pregame show featuring Pascal Janssen. And a couple of those clips we will play here in our pregame live from the radio booth here at New York City FC. It's behind home plate at Yankee Stadium. Just one more year at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field and Red Bull Arena and wherever else they might send us this year. And then it's the grand opening of Etihad Park in 2027. And before we move on, Matty, one interesting thing we learned about Etihad Park is that there'll be this mini season in February through May for MLS. Everybody will play 14 games, and then there'll be some sort of playoff format. And then to the FIFA international calendar beginning in the summer of 2027. And that's when New York City will launch Etihad Park. But they will, we learned, have some trials, including like maybe an open training session where 3,000 to 5,000 people could come out and observe. And Brad Sims told us this week, the CEO and president of the New York City Football Club, that there will be concerts. And the way he put it, he said there's going to be a field down for the initial stage. Then they'll have a setup for the concerts. And then they will put down the permanent field, whereby before New York City has their opener, they anticipate a European guest, the summer calendar, where Premier League teams in particular will come over and play exhibitions. So maybe we'll see Wrexham-Chelsea. By the way, Wrexham and Chelsea, it's now 1-1, coming close to halftime. So Wrexham was up 1-0 in that FA Cup
and Liverpool, Wrexham are playing here in July.
They are.
Exactly.
They're playing here at Yankee Stadium.
Link.
And Leeds Sunderland, I believe, is the other one.
Wow.
And back-to-back. And it won't be here, though. That's going to be at Sports Illustrated Stadium. So here at Yankee Stadium, we've got the home opener. The home has been kind to MLS teams here in the first 2 weeks. MLS at home this season, this is everybody, 21 wins, just 4 losses and 5 draws. 2 of those losses at home. Orlando City, today's opponent, they opened up the year with back-to-back home games. They lost to the Red Bulls. They lost to Inter Miami. Meanwhile, New York City was on the road for the first 2 games, and this is where it becomes even more impressive. 4 points for the 6. They tied LA Galaxy in the opener. Come from behind, not from behind, but scored late to beat Philadelphia last weekend. And so...
as long as they don't continue to buck the trend, NYCFC, there's no point going away from home and winning and then coming home and losing. You'll be a little bit pickled then. But look, those stats are amazing. We know that teams are predominantly stronger at home, but to that level is quite amazing, Glenn.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest loss makers in that stat was the team who are coming here, Orlando. They lost both the home games. As you said, they conceded 6 goals in 180 minutes. And anybody who watched the Red Bulls game will know that they could have conceded 6 in the first half against Red Bulls. They easily could have. It would have done justice to the Red Bull performance if they'd have won that game 5 or 6-1. It really would. They were much the dominant team.
Maxime Crépeau is the goalkeeper this year for Orlando City in his first season, but he's a veteran, has performed well in MLS prior. Portland was his previous stop, and Canadian national team pool player, and actually he's in a battle with Dane St. Clair who last week played on the opposite side.
Yes.
And when Inter Miami ended up coming back and beating Crepeau and Orlando City 4-2, and that was kind of billed as like sort of an open competition for the Canadian national team spot. Jesse Marsh was watching that one closely. But as far as New York City against Orlando City, Matty, last 5 games, 4 wins and 1 draw for New York City. They've been dominant. Only 2 losses in the last 18 matches played against Orlando City. So you sometimes wonder about the dominance. We've talked about how New York City has bested Montreal for the most part. That's one series. DC United to a lesser extent, New England Revolution to a lesser extent. But there are certain teams, and maybe it's just because they're poor that you're dominant against. But Orlando City, they have a pretty good tradition of winning games themselves.
Yeah, look, Orlando City aren't a poor team. They're a pretty good team. 2024, they finished 4th. 2023, they finished 2nd. 2022, they finished 7th. Even last year, when they finished 9th, they were only 3 points behind NYCFC, who finished in 5th. They're a decent team, Orlando City. That is for certain. But these are 2 very different teams. Only 4 of the starters for Orlando City in the July matchup down in Orlando that NYCFC won 2-1. Only 4 of those starters are playing here today, starting here today. And there are 7 of the NYCFC starters. So there's definitely more continuity with the NYCFC team than the Orlando City team, which is, I think, what we saw in those opening 2 games. They lost both of them at home. They conceded 6 goals. They conceded 3. So obviously they conceded 50% more. Certainly not good to start off, even with your Canadian national team goalkeeper conceding 6 in the first 2. And you're right, Maxime Crepeau is one of the best, if not the best, goalkeepers in MLS. And he had a disaster against
in the second half.
And in the second half.
Well, so you pointed to how well he played against the Red Bulls.
Yes.
And then first half, Inter Miami, great tactical adjustment by Mascherano. Got to give him some credit. He switched to 3 at the back. He got more numbers forward. And Orlando City didn't handle it very well. They are actually winless now in their last 7 matches dating back to last season. So that's what New York City's up against. For Pascal Janssen, interesting. Orlando City was also the home opener last year. New York City won that game on March the 8th, so almost a year to the day. It's March the 7th, 2026. 2-1 the final. One of the goal scorers was Hannes Wolf. So let's talk about Hannes Wolf because he was one of the goal scorers last week against Philadelphia. It was a fairly massive goal to get New York City off to the start against Philadelphia, who came out in the first 10 and 15 minutes and really took it to New York City. But then Wolf made it 1-0. I want to show that goal right now, but also with the commentary of Pascal Janssen from the pregame show, talking about Agustin Ojeda, who would later assist on the game-winning goal, but he was involved in this Wolf goal. So here is Pascal Janssen in reference to Agu, but also talking about Wolf at the end.
He's working very hard on his finishing. I wasn't happy with the first finish when it hit the post, but then again, the threat with the goal is also something that he created on that side. But it was the shot from Nico, and the rebound was there from Hannes. And that is something that we emphasize a lot in training also. Make sure that you follow up on these shots on goal because they will give you at least 5 to 8 goals per season.
All right, so that's Pascal Janssen post-game after the Philadelphia win, and you saw Ojeda. I didn't know it until later with replays that he played that ball to Fernandez Mercado, who took the shot and then the rebound. He played that ball between the legs of the defender.
Ojeda's done well up to a point, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Apart from when he's in front of goal. In front of goal, he's almost a liability, and you cannot have that when you're one of the attacking 4 players. He's got to be chipping in with between 5 to 10 goals and then 10 to 15 assists if you're going to play in that forward line. And he just doesn't seem to either calm himself down or he loses his head a little bit in front of goal. The finish that Pascal was talking about when he hit the post was a simple side-footed, right-footed finish, his favoured foot, and he misses the target. You hit the post, you miss the target. You do the goalkeeper's job for him by missing the target. and he's got to improve that.
Do you want to know when his last MLS goal was?
I was 28 when he last scored.
June 28th, 2024. He did not score a goal last year and played in every game. One of only 3 New York City players to play in every game. In fact, he's played in 41 consecutive MLS games. So there's a certain value there, obviously. June 28th, 2024, against Orlando City. And it was the game-winning goal. So maybe there'll be some inspiration here. And that was his third and final goal of 2024. So that has been an issue for Agustin Ojeda. All right, let's move on to what was the game-winning tally. And this was our call on the New York City FC Network. Side to Tyler Magno. Goes to Ojeda. Curls into the back post. Headed, and it's a goal! New York City FC! And it's Tavon Gray! Gray stayed on the pitch when Baera came. Gray in an attacking position. And with just 1 minute remaining in stoppage time, New York City could have the 3 points on the road. Agustin Ojeda to Tavon Gray with a pre-assist to Tyler Magno. Andre Blake couldn't do anything about it. And New York City leads Philadelphia 2-1.
My only worry on this is that Tyler Magno may have strayed offside just before he gets on the ball. But actually it takes a ricochet, so I don't think he can be offside. But he picks the ball up at the back post, lays it into Ojeda. Ojeda, delicious little curling cross with the inside of the right foot, exactly on the corner of the 18-yard box. And we always say it, desire to get to the ball. Do you want to get there first? And he's got that. He's got heart, he's got desire, he's got want to get to the ball. And he heads it down to Tavon Gray. We watch it from behind the goal. He gets there, heads it down, and it bounces over the outstretched arm of Andre Blake because he did the right thing. Attacking headers, head them down.
That was our guy Tavon Gray, who gave credit to Ojeda afterwards and was certainly happy, but you know, Tavon takes things in stride, yes. And the thing is the desire to get to that, and the description from Pascal Janssen, which you'll hear in the pregame show coming up at 2:15. He really describes thoroughly why Tavon Gray was in that position anyway. And he talked about 2 versus 2 with Drew Baera joining him. Baera came into the game, and you figure Gray's coming out, but no, he stayed.
Yeah, it was getting late on in the game. You've got a man advantage as well, so you can afford to flood numbers forward, and you want to, you have to, because you want to get that winner. But I'm with you, Glenn. For me, forget the numbers. It's just all about 1 against 1. It's Tavon Gray up against Ben Bender at the back post. Who wants to get to the ball first? And Ben Bender kind of fell off the ball, fell off the challenge. Yeah. And it was all about Tavon Gray being on the front foot, being strong, being physical, and just getting to the ball first. You've done 90% of the job once you get to the ball first because you're so close. There was a little bit of pace in the delivery from Ojeda, so now it's just about guiding the ball down.
The delivery.
And he did it perfectly.
And that's what's difficult about that. You know, sometimes you like the outswinger in that area where the attacking player could come onto it. But in this situation, it really made the defender's job more difficult because of the swing.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, Bender, if he goes side on with Tavon Gray, if he goes shoulder to shoulder, he's got to get there. It's the fact that he's in a little bit of the wrong position because Baera's behind him. He got caught in 2 minds slightly, but you've always got to stay with the man nearer the goal. He's got to go there because you can always readjust and get backwards.
True.
It was just poor defending from Bender, but lovely heart and desire from Tavon Gray, isn't it? That's the crux of the matter. Tavon Gray gets there so well.
Well, here's Gray afterwards about Ojeda.
Not surprised about Agu. In training, I'm going against Agu 9 out of 10 times, so I know what he's capable of, and it's definitely a task every day in practice. You know, we challenge each other. So to be honest, I'm just happy that the success is showing on the field. I see everything behind closed doors, you know. So to be honest, he deserves every bit of credit he's getting.
Tavon Gray on Agustin Ojeda, and it was kind of interesting, and I want to play it right here because the other thing Gray said afterwards is how they go at it in training all the time. Like, like 9 out of 10 repetitions, it'll be Ojeda against Gray. So Ojeda was in the presser this week, and he only speaks Spanish. I only speak English, so our communication is limited.
Interview.
Well, so here we are. So you get your head on your. So there he is, 21-year-old Agustin Ojeda, Esteban Camino. From our communications department did the translating. So here's my chat with Augustine after Tavon talked about how they go at it in training. First, I asked him, when you received the ball from Tyler Magno and looked up before crossing, were you surprised to see Tavon sitting there in front of the goal? So he says, no, it didn't surprise me. When I looked up, I didn't really see Tavon specifically. I just saw a lot of our players, and I was just looking more for movement, and I saw that movement at the back post, and that's where I slotted the ball in. So that's an example of just putting the ball to a spot and then relying on your teammates.
Absolutely putting the ball into an area. Very few players have got the ability to specifically pick out our man and the ball and man meet perfectly. You put the ball into an area and then it's up to the attacker to get on the end of the ball. And that's exactly what you're saying there, in my opinion. Put the ball towards that back post area. Now it's up to either Tavon or Drew Bayera to prove that they have more heart and desire to get to the ball first. And it worked perfectly.
And if you happen to be watching this, I just put the script up here too. Have you ever served the ball to Tavon's head for a goal in training? I wanted to ask that. And he said, throughout training, we always joke around with each other to always go to the back post. He always tells me, go to the back post. This time I told him to go to the back post, and it worked out. That's the little banter we have going between us. Then I asked him, Tavon says in training, you're going at it all the time. Tavon is one of the best defenders in the league. That must help you, I asked. And he said, yes, Tavon and I face each other a lot. We always joke around. He's always telling me I can't get past him. And I'm always telling him I can dribble past him. We have a good rapport. In training, we always try to get the best from each other, and that translates well into games. And then my final question is, who wins the battle more in training, you or Tavon? And he chuckled, and he said, well, he's going to say him, and I'm going to say me. So there you go. I don't have a count on that. I don't know if anybody in the coaching team does, but that banter and having fun with it and going at it, there's a certain level of effectiveness that goes through something like that, right, in training?
Yeah, and especially if you're Ojeda going up against Tavon Gray. Tavon Gray is, without a doubt, one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league. Isn't always better with the ball, but defensively, he's absolutely phenomenal. He moves his feet very quickly. He has a nice low center of gravity when he's defending, and he watches the ball very, very well. And he's quick, Tavon Gray, over the first few steps. If you had to ask me, Glenn, who's getting the majority or who's the more positive, I'm saying that Tavon Gray's coming out the winner more times than Agustin Ojeda is. But I'd love to go up there in training and watch every single
almost
game.
Because the percentage is that the attacking player will fail more than they succeed.
Absolutely.
It is a little it's easier to defend in those situations and win, a majority of the battles than it is to lose them. Hey, I want to pull this up, and I put it up on social media, on posts, wherever I post. And this is something, and Matty pointed it out to me. Now, I have filmed Matt Freese before in the pregame, but he comes out some 2 to 2.5 hours before kickoff, and for about 3 minutes, he'll spend time. Let me see if I can get this open and show you, and that's not it. Here he goes. All right, so this is Freese, walking out. We could talk over this, Matty, because it's –
This isn't a spectator sport, that's for certain. No. This isn't a spectator sport of it.
No, but the reason that I thought it might be interesting to see is that there have been so many articles written about Matt and with Matt, and video interviews with Matt. He is all over the place, omnipresent ever since his emergence with the U.S. men's national team in particular. And something he learned while he was at Harvard, the Harvard men's soccer team and their coaching staff had the team and led them out before a game for visualization. So the entire team did it. And there you see he's shuffling his feet. You'll see him in a moment catch an imaginary cross. And then you'll see him sort of ponder and stare towards the penalty spot. And, he's one of the best at that, saving penalties.
Yeah, and look, I think one of the reasons we've seen the high trajectory of Matt Freese is because of things like this. He takes his position and his sport and his craft incredibly seriously. This is a 24/7 job for him. This does not just start when the final whistle finishes, or does not start so when the opening whistle goes. He is living and breathing football every single minute of the day, I would imagine. And this imaging, this visualization, whatever you want to call it, this helps him specifically. And he does these same movements, the same thing every single game. It's all about repetition, Glenn.
Sometimes he's playing with his feet here, too.
Yeah,
he's imagining
absolutely.
a ball coming. I noticed he's working on his left foot here more than the
But
right
as
he does this.
however we want to, whether we call it visualization, imaging, whatever we want to say, it's great for him to do that, and it helps him. He's found that it helps him, and it's propelled him up to being one of the, if not the best goalkeepers in the MLS, all the way to being the number one goalkeeper for the US men's national team. And he sticks with that routine, and it's not a superstition. That is how he lives his life. That is what he does, and that is how he hones his craft. And look, I don't know whether he's listening to a saxophone player in his ears. I don't know whether it's dance.
No, I
music.
asked him. I thought he might be, it might be techno or.
Yeah, what is it?
He said a variety. He said he doesn't stick to one specific thing.
That's interesting.
Because if you listen to music before your game as a pro, you had one thing you listened to, right?
Yes.
For me, it was Pavarotti.
Okay.
But that was a long time ago.
I would have thought while he was doing the
and not on a professional level, by the way.
But I would have thought while he's doing the visualization, it would be. But yes, obviously, I believe you and know what he's doing. It's better for him. It's a multitude of different songs of bands, etc., etc. But yeah, very much for me or any warm-up tape we had as a team when I was playing, it was always the same. Obviously, can't be just the same song over and over again, but it was everybody got to pick one song, and we played it every single game for 50 minutes or whatever before the game kicked off.
So that was Matt Freese earlier. You were looking at some film of him doing his ritual pregame. This is a live look now as Orlando City is the team on the right involved in their warm-up, trying to get a little bit more used to Yankee Stadium. There was, I'm not going to show this, but there was a moment where Kai Truin came out before the game. Now, Kai Truin, you'll see as the starting 11 for New York City is rolling in the bottom third here, if you're viewing this. One change in the lineup, Kai Truin coming in for Raul Gustavo. Well, Truin, he was out here very early. He just had his kicks on, just the sneakers, and he was walking around all the different parts of the field trying to understand what he was getting himself into here at Yankee Stadium. When you look at the field now, Matty, the first we noted is that the grass is not green necessarily like we normally see it. It kind of has that winter tone to it.
Yeah, a little yellow tinge.
And once we, once the game kicks off, we'll get a chance to see how it plays. But and you can see where the infield has been covered up as well. But the Yankees, they're in spring training still in Florida. They haven't opened up their year. New York City beats them to the punch here in their home opener.
We also know what difficult weather conditions we've had here recently. So whether the pitch has been covered with a tarp or whether it's been covered with snow, we know that it hasn't had a great deal of natural light, and we see that in the colour of the turf. That shouldn't, we hope, affect the game because the pitch still looks incredibly flat. Just the colour of the grass shouldn't affect anything. We saw the referees, officials were out there doing the rolling test. They always see how far the ball rolls to check that the grass has been cut to a certain level, and everything looks good out there. But from Kai Truin's point of view, this is very different, Glenn. He will never have played, first he's never played on Yankee Stadium, but he won't ever have played in a baseball stadium at all in his career. So I think sometimes it is very, very hard to get a perspective because you're used to, as a player, I certainly was, you take your perspective from the fact that the stands run parallel to the touch
But
lines.
you know what'll be interesting to watch, and we've seen this so often in our years doing this, especially someone who is unaccustomed to playing here. So we anticipate he'll start at left central defense. And he's capable of those diagonal balls from the left side. Will he overhit them because of the perspective here, in particular on this side, this near side where we are? Let's open it up again just to give you an idea. And this is the truth. This near side where the pitcher's mound and home plate area are here at Yankee Stadium. If Kai Truin is on the left side of the field playing left central defense and hits a diagonal service, first of all, it's 70 yards wide, so it's a little narrower than he might be used to, but also the perspective of what's behind, you know. and it's pretty interesting.
Well, you're normally aiming for the stands almost when you're hitting a long 60, 70-yard diagonal because you know you're not going to overhit it. Yeah, you're almost aiming for the stand. Certainly, that's how I would be playing. But yeah, here on this near side, there aren't even the advertising hoardings to get that perspective. And the stands are a good 50, 60, 70 yards behind. So, yeah, it's certainly something you have to get used to, which is, as you say, why the Orlando City players are out there already, just getting to grips with the perspective of this pitch. There's not every single member of their starting lineup has played here before. We had to say this is a much changed Orlando City side. I think, just as I said, it was a good time to play Philadelphia Union last week because they were without suspensions, they were without injuries. This is a great time to be playing Orlando City because they haven't quite got cohesive. They haven't quite gelled. There's no Duncan Maguire, who's obviously hasn't found his form yet. I think he's on the bench today, who I would consider their best, if not only, centre forward. I feel that they're not truly playing with a centre forward today, Orlando City. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, let's go over. We see New York City's lineup. The one change, Maxime Crépeau will be in goal as expected. And then you've got a 19-year-old at left back, Tahir Reed Brown. He's a homegrown from Orlando. Nolan Miller, another youngster, 21 years old. David Brekalo, the Slovenian international. Griffin Dorsey, acquired via trade from Houston, is the right back. Then Luis Otavio, Brian Ojeda in the midfield. And then that front four, Ivan Angulo, Tyrese Spicer, Malachi Jones' teammate at Lipscomb University, both drafted in the first round a couple of years back. Martin Ojeda and Marco Pasalic. So that is a strong front four without the striker, let's say. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop this.
Yeah, they've got some very good players. I've got no doubts about that. But where this team hasn't gelled as a whole entity yet, I really, really like Griffin Dorsey, another of their new players who's come from Houston. Grew up as a professional footballer at Toronto FC, but didn't quite make the grade there, but really came into his own at Houston. And I'm very much looking forward to watching him play. He bombs on as a right back. He's much more forward thinking. He can defend as well. He's got a terrific engine. But can he gel with the players around him? That's the thing we'll be looking after. Martin Ojeda, watched him for a number of years at Godoy Cruz. He was absolutely fantastic for them for 3 or 4 seasons. And he's been wonderful. The same here. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to him playing as well. But as I say, the overall team, it hasn't quite come together for them, as we understand why. They've only had 180 minutes playing together, and there's been a number of changes. And another big change is they've used up 2 centre midfielders in the middle of midfield already. Vilda Cartagena, he got injured in the first game, so he dropped out. And then Guske, he came in the second game, and now he's suspended. So they're now down to their 4th choice centre midfielder.
18 years old,
and
too.
he's 18, of course, because strength and depth of MLS squads, they're not that deep. So you're now playing another teenager.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us here on NYCFC Pregame Live. We are on with you, home or away from the stadium, an hour before kickoff every week. Next week, it's going to be back here at Yankee Stadium against Colorado. But for now, it's Orlando City. They are the guests here at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx to face the New York City Football Club. Our pregame show on the New York City FC radio network. And on Apple TV today, you can use the drop-down feature to listen to the hometown radio commentary. We begin at 2:15 with a pregame show. The Apple broadcast begins at 2:30. So tune into nycfc.com/radio to listen to Pascal Janssen. 13 minutes with the gaffer today. Always fun to chat, and he's transparent, sometimes entertaining, and I hope you'll give it a listen. So for Matty, I'm Glenn. Enjoy the game, everybody.